Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel, Who's Behind the Headline. Thank you for watching another episode. If you're still here, I so appreciate it. I'm so excited for today's episode because I am speaking with two very special people, Joe and Tara Petito. Gabby, for those of you who do not know, lost her life in 2021 to an act of domestic violence that became national news headlines. And I think her story is so important and is such a good example of this podcast because her story has helped so many lives. And Joe and Tara continue to do that work every day, along with Gabby's mom, Nichole, and her stepfather, Jim. And I'm just so excited for you guys to listen to this important conversation we had on domestic violence. So thanks so much for watching my channel. All right, well, thank you so much, Joe and Tara, for joining me today on Who's Behind the Headline. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for inviting us.
Yeah.
Of course. And Joe, you know, every time I speak with you, I've spoken with you a few times now, I feel like I always leave the conversation feeling so much more inspired. And not only inspired, but more motivated to do the type of work that I do. And I feel like this is kind of what this podcast is all about. It's telling stories to help connect people, inspire people, and let people know that they're not alone. And for you, Tara, this is my first time speaking with you, but I know you've been along this whole movement and this whole process from the beginning. So I really am honored to speak with both of you on my podcast today.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. Thank you very much. Yeah, I'm excited too. You know, and I appreciate the kind words. I get it from her because she inspires me. So to be honest with you, it really is that full circle moment. So together's how we're gonna make a cool podcast today. Let's do it.
Definitely. And you know, for those watching who don't know, I feel like it's hard to know Gabby Petito or not know who Gabby Petito is. You know, she stole the hearts of many across the world. She was killed by her boyfriend, Brian Laundrie, in an act of domestic violence in 2021. And I feel like you both have been fighting ever since, not just for Gabby, but for other victims, for other people, for the safety of other people. And I wanted to first ask you guys, you know, not the foundation, not all the media-facing work you do, but you know, what is it truly like to be in that fight for this long and continue to walk through that fight every day, every week? I don't know how you guys would define it.
I mean, it's every day. We're working every day. It's sometimes it's helpful, it's healing, but sometimes it's triggering. Every day is different. We don't know what it's gonna be like. Sorry, my cat is like right here. She's like staring.
No worries at all.
She's giving me the eyes.
She wants to come up.
She wants something. Sorry.
She wants to be on camera. She can join us.
No, to be honest, she's a fat cat. We're horrible cat owners because we're always like, let's give her treats.
She likes treats. She loves treats.
I'm the same way. It's hard to say no.
So we miss Gabby every day. We wish we could bring her back. And the work we're doing is so important because there are so many Gabbys out there. There are so many women that are fighting this fight and they're doing it alone. And we want to make sure that we elevate other stories. We want to elevate Gabby's stories as much as possible because this can happen to anybody at any point in time. And that's all we're going to do. We're going to keep going. I mean, we eventually would love to be put out of business. We don't want to have to do this. It's hard, but we're going to keep going. We're going to keep fighting.
You know, what's interesting is it is hard, especially when you're having, you know, when you're trying to educate people and stuff, and sometimes they don't understand. You know, there's an antiquated way of thinking when it comes to domestic violence, and so many new things that I think people starting to realize on how domestic violence is so prevalent in today's society. But then people tell you, you know, on how they got out or how they were inspired by another person, not just Gabby, but other people who share their stories on social media to let people know that there's light at the end of that tunnel. Yeah. And that's inspiring because now you're trying to fight for the ones that aren't out yet, you know, and I mean, it's the reason why you do what you do, not only to, you know, get the people that are, you know, I guess that are in the headlines or have been in the headlines, but really try to capture what it's like, behind it, so people have an understanding of what to expect if they find themselves in it. And that really
Yeah.
is, that inspiration continues on, and that's how you pay it back. And we owe a lot of people, and hopefully we'll be able to repay them.
Were you surprised when you kind of were thrown into this world of, crime and domestic violence? Were you surprised to see how prevalent it is, and maybe just see like how many other people like Gabby are out there that were carrying this secret?
I didn't think the numbers were as bad as they, as I was led to believe, especially with the education that we had growing up. Now, so I'm 46. A lot has changed. Don't get me wrong. But when it's the 1 in 3, the one, women, 1 in 5 men, that's horrible, right? And we all agree. But the one number that people never really talk about is the 10 to 20 million kids a year. And that's just in the US, right? So that just shows you how much further we have to go. And we're not going to be able to do it if we take those little steps, right? You're not going to be able to jump to end it. You have to take that journey to it. And, and that's kind of, you guys go everywhere too. You and Nikki travel the country doing education and prevention.
I had no idea. Growing up, I always thought that abuse was just hitting. I didn't realize that there was other factors like manipulation, gaslighting, there's the emotional abuse. I didn't realize that. But then you dive even deeper. So it's also about prevention and teaching the youth about the red flags and how not to be an abuser. Not only how, to know the red flags, but also not to be an abuser. But then there's the other side of it. There is the legal aspect. If you are strangled by your partner, and a lot of times, they're trying to kill you. That's what they're trying to do. But if an officer, if it's brought to the courts, a lot of times it gets dropped down to a misdemeanor or nothing, or it gets thrown out. So it's putting lives at risk every single day by doing that. So there's so many, I guess, I don't know the right word.
Ways to better
There's
the system.
so many areas that needs work. There are so many gaps within our system. There's not enough education prevention out there. There are not enough laws out there to protect people. I would love to see if you go to court because your partner strangled you, that there is no way that they can knock it down ever. That it's a felony no matter what. I would love to see that. And these are the things that we're trying to change. These are the things that we're out there. And then it's just trying to get prosecutors and judges to make the right call. I just posted something on Facebook where a woman had multiple calls to, I didn't read the full article, so I might be I don't want to misquote things, but she had multiple calls to law enforcement, and it did go to court, and he wasn't charged, and now she's been murdered, and he committed suicide. These things are happening every single day. But the reality is if someone puts their hands around your neck, the chances of them killing you goes up by 750%. And these are true. These are real facts. And something needs to change. Something needs to give. Laws need to be not as difficult to pass. We need to get more laws nationally. Sometimes, some of them have to be done by state, but it's a hard fight. It is a difficult fight. And even getting the education programs into schools, that's another difficult fight. That is another avenue that we need to address as well. So there's just so many different avenues. There's so many different fights. And we're trying to.
You might have triggered. So I'm
listening
to you go. I'm like, I'm just gonna hit, because she's right on everything you're saying.
We are trying to do this. There are so many organizations that we have partnered with that are fighting this fight with us. But we need more. We need to head to Washington and get these laws changed.
At the end of the day, the simplest way to stop a lot of the headlines that come through is really the education with the youth. When we were growing up, now, Leila, I know you're much younger than I am, but you know what I mean? We were just getting into computers. We played on the Oregon Trail, all right? We use a DOS system, with a 4.5 inch, with a 5.25 inch floppy, all right? So let's just be real on where I was coming from. So, but even today, we just don't do enough with teaching some of the red flags, and they have so much information at their fingertips that, these kids, have a real good grasp on what's not only, safety and prevention, but also politically and all this other stuff. Like you see them getting involved at a younger age more and more nowadays because they have so much of that information. And to leverage that in a way that gets them, but not just domestic violence, proper friendships, bullying. There's so much that you can integrate into that. Where I mean, I was just talking to a young father, a father yesterday who lost his son to suicide, and because of bullying, and it's just it breaks your heart. There's so much that you can funnel towards domestic violence, which really we need to do a better job.
Well, there are amazing programs out there. And I say this all the time. There are amazing programs out there. There are communities that are doing it right, but then it's pockets. They're not everywhere. And that's what we need to have changed. We need every school to have a program about bullying, about DV prevention. I mean, there are amazing Expect Respect is an amazing program that's out there. They're based out of Austin. There's Rachel's Challenge, another amazing program, which is about bullying. Then there's also One Love, another amazing program. And now we're trying to do our own program as well. There's also Purple One. They're another amazing program. I think it's the Orange Dot, which is their education program. But anyway, they're amazing, but we're just not in every school. That needs to be in every school. Why does one school get it and the other school doesn't? That baffles my mind.
Yeah, I know, like you said, there are a lot of great organizations and people doing the work, but there still are people falling through the cracks because, you know, in my line of work, I'm reporting on it weekly. You know, I was wondering for you, Tara, too, when you travel and you get to speak with people and whether you speak with kids or adults, what are people so shocked to learn? I mean, what are kids either not learning in their schools or not learning from their parents that you guys are really trying to get that education across to them?
It's pretty broad.
That's a very
I mean, because there's a lot. Listen, you're not trying to do college level courses. You know what I mean? You're doing real, DV 101. You know what I mean? Again, and if you especially
it's also bystander programs.
But if you're incorporating, younger children, let's just say 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, right? Because that's when they start to form, their cliques and their relationships and stuff like that. And when you start doing freshman, sophomore, you know what I mean? Now they're getting a little bit further into, how relationships work and whatnot. And, a big thing with, I think I was reading a study just the other day. It was over 40% of high school students have been cyber stalked.
I was going to say digital abuse is something that we also try to get out there.
It's wild on how many there are. And then when you talk to schools, and I'm painting with a broad brush here, so you have to understand that. But when you talk to the schools, they try to prop themselves up. We don't have that here. That's not in our district. That's somewhere else. And that's not true. Statistically, there's no way. And to keep your head in the sand just doesn't make a lot of sense. Embrace the program. There are so many good ones in your area. What works in Long Island, let's say, will be totally different than work in, say, Cincinnati. All right. So find a program that works for you. It doesn't have to be one of ours. It could be a program that just informs people on what to pay attention to and how to navigate those things. I learned, one of the things I learned is it's the NECMEC site. The National Center for Missing and Exploited Children has what's called a / take it down, right? And what it does is, when images are created either with AI or, traded, however got from one phone to another, and someone tries to post that, there are sites for free that'll help you take it down. Help you make sure that that's not around where people are trying to manipulate that.
What happens is that predators will take those photos. They will use AI to change those photos, and then they will use it against the child to say, to either lure them or traffic them or whatever the circumstances are. And the kids don't know what to do. They don't know. I mean, if they don't have an open relationship with their parents, if they don't have a trusted adult to go to, they don't know what to do. So it's a great program that a child can even reach out and try to have these things taken down. It's also, I mean, that's another thing that we try to talk to kids about is to have those healthy adults. If you do not have a parent to go to, have a trusted adult to go to, or call the National Domestic Violence Hotline on your own. To make that phone call. That's another thing. There's not enough
But schools should have.
resources. Schools should have a list of resources. They should let you know where to turn to if you need.
I've
Yeah.
been in
They
this
should-
domestic violence world for 4 years, and I learned by a deck that Nichole and Tara put together. I never heard of it. I asked my child, has he ever heard? You don't see it anywhere in the schools with information. Take bad photos down of you that people are trying to bully. You see it
Right.
nowhere. And here's a free program on a national level to assist you with that. And why it's not being utilized everywhere and promoted everywhere, I have no idea. That doesn't make any sense to me. You think schools would embrace a program?
Yep, you do. I don't know if it's still something that schools don't want to admit is happening. I mean, because I feel like when we see instances of that happen in schools, it's very hush-hush. It's very kept on the low. It's hard for us to get any information out about it to families without FOIAs and, waiting to either get denied or accepted. And Joe, you make a great point. I don't know why either. They wouldn't want it to be more accessible to children, especially when it comes to the digital age, AI now, all the dangers and horror stories that we're hearing about kids and their phones and pornography and all of that, especially now with AI. So it's scary, and I appreciate you bringing that up because we don't always think about that.
Yeah.
Well, no one thinks about children when you think about domestic violence. And I understand it. Like when you domestic violence, I picture the woman, you know what I mean, in my head. It's just how I was raised, and that's how it is. But people don't think of the kids and the trauma that comes with watching your parents beat on one another or scream at one another, and get arrested, and rightfully so. You know what I mean? But the trauma that inflicts on them because you couldn't have an adult conversation and learn how to manage those emotions. It's something that has to be worked on. And again,
And then it's about breaking the cycle. Because those kids do not learn what a healthy relationship is. I'm not saying that they all do, but they could, because they do not know what a healthy relationship looks like. They become abusers in their adult age. So it's about breaking that cycle. It's about making them aware of what they are doing if they are acting that way. It's also making sure that others know as well. So it's like I said, it's a lot. And we're trying to do as much as we can. Going back to the digital, because we're in such a digital era. Why don't they? I don't understand why schools don't make a list of resources. They don't even have to print it out. It wouldn't cost them anything. It would just cost them.
You could put it on their own page.
They probably already use programs
on an
where
app
they make
or something.
flyer. They could just make a digital flyer and put it up on their page so kids know where to go to.
See, here's an interesting notion that people don't understand. Is there are so many things that spark or could be benefited by helping domestic violence that if substance abuse.
Sorry, I just thought of that, and maybe that's something that
You're going to start writing it down. Yeah. So
Take notes. Seriously, I'm about to pull out a notepad too.
So substance abuse. You want to lower the substance abuse rate, help domestic violence. You want to lower drug use, domestic violence. You want to lower the suicide rate, domestic violence. You want to lessen the amount of people who go missing every year to help domestic violence. There are so many things that you could do. Homelessness, help domestic violence. Child homelessness, help domestic violence.
Yeah.
I mean, there are so many things that spring from domestic violence that you could really lessen the numbers on and really help so many people if we really get a grasp on domestic violence and how to address it and not let it be, well, this doesn't happen here. If it's 1 in 3 women, 1 in 5 men, 10 to 20 million kids a year, that's 100 million people in the United States alone. It's happening everywhere. Stop your stuff. Get over yourself. Get your head out of the sand. Let's address it. And if we do, then we can go on to the next one.
Well, I think I worded my question wrong too, Tara, for you. I meant more like when you're going out to these public speaking opportunities and you're speaking with people and interacting with people, I more meant like, do these kids, do they know what domestic violence is? And I can imagine even if a kid grows up watching their parents in a domestic violence relationship, they might not be able, if someone asks them what is domestic violence and they're 12, 13, 14, 15, going into their early 20s, they might not really even know because it's become so normalized. And I think that's like you said, the cycle of abuse that we're seeing. So I just kind of wanted to get like an idea and, for the people watching too, like, do people really understand what domestic violence is? And you said too, you even learned that no, it's not just getting punched. It can be verbal, it can be mental, it can be virtual.
They also want to know about being a bystander. How can they help a friend? If they see a friend going through something, how do they help their friend? So that's another area that we try to address when we talk to schools. I've only talked to one school so far, so and I one
Some colleges too.
one high school. I want to say one high school, and they were amazing. They were an amazing bunch. But that's where we want to be. We want to be in more high schools.
Well, that's telling too, you know, the fact that kids are wanting to know what to do in case their friend or someone they know in their family is going through something similar. I think that's also really important, and it's an education that people don't get.
Well, there's a question you should ask people. Here's a question to ask, and for all your viewers that that are going to watch this, here's a question they could ask their friends or their family or their kids or anyone they come in contact with. If you're in a if you find yourself in a nonviolent domestic violence situation, where would you go? Who would you contact? And if they don't know, and most people don't, then that's the information we should start with. Because most people don't even know where to begin. And it's great you do domestic violence on Google. It's one of the first things that pop up is a National Domestic Violence Hotline, 1-800-799-SAFE. You can text START to 88788 as well. That's got nothing to do with the Gabby Petito Foundation. It's just something that we support because it's a huge, huge benefit to let people know where they can get resources in their area. It's a great starting.
And then there's also Love is Respect. Love is Respect is a part of the National Domestic Violence Hotline. It's for teens. I think it's for teens up to the age of, I think 24. But they can also do that route too. They can also call that number. I think it's a similar number.
Well, I appreciate you giving that out because I know, I mean, throughout my experience going through high school and college, none of that was ever pointed out. I guess we kind of knew that if we wanted to find it, we could maybe go search on campus or talk to our doctor or something like that. But you know, I think a lot of, especially, I mean, I don't want to say especially younger people, but I think maybe especially younger people, like you said, just don't have the education of where to turn. And that kind of takes me to my next point that I wanted to talk to you about too, about leaving, about when victims, you know, maybe finally get the courage or finally find the resources to leave a relationship, about how that's the most dangerous time for them because we're reminded time and time again in the headlines of these horrible, horrific stories. So I kind of wanted to talk to you a little bit about, you know, what you've learned about that throughout your 4 years being thrown into this world and maybe what you've learned about what is the safest way for a victim to leave. Joe or Tara, whoever would like to take it.
I would say if you are planning to leave, you have to leave safely. I think reaching out to a DV hotline or somewhere, some advocate in your area, and come up with a safety plan that works for you. One safety plan might not work for somebody else, but it might work for somebody. You know, it's got to be an individual plan. I would say that. I would also say that start saving information, maybe not on your phone, maybe on another friend or another person's phone, just so you have that available, stashing that away. There was something that someone said to start buying gift cards, because if you're you're in a financial abusive situation, when you go to the grocery store, and that's the only store you might be able to go to, maybe add to it a $10 gift card here and there so you can start saving some money. There are other plans that you can, you know, have a bag, have something available, try to have a person, but it has to be somewhere where you have to come up with your advocate. They are trained, they are trained professionals. They know exactly what to tell you and how to help you.
Yeah, every situation is very, very specific.
Yeah.
It depends on their partner, their area, all that stuff. There's so many variables that go into it. We would not be doing the right thing by saying, what are some of the stuff here? The advice would be reach out to your local domestic violence hotline or advocate or the National Domestic Violence Hotline and formulate a plan with your advocate to make sure you can get out safely based on exactly what it is you're going through and what your situation.
I mean, the the hotline actually has a list of resources. So they'll know, even if you have to get to a shelter in another state, they are able to help you and try to help you work
Okay.
that through. They can't provide resources, funds. That's unfortunately something that they cannot provide, but they can provide a plan to try to help you.
Yeah. And so, but for you guys, you would say, it is important to leave, because I know a lot of victims don't leave either out of fear, either out of their children. I'm learning a lot more about victims sticking around because of pets and how pets are used in relationships. To keep someone around, or like because the pet is threatened, which is a whole other aspect of it too.
When people say you should just leave, they don't have the real understanding of what domestic violence really brings and the dangers that come with it when you're about to leave. Because that control is now gone, and that's what domestic violence is. It's all about control. So
And then they beat you down because of they are trying to control you. They beat you down. So you're emotionally, it's emotionally even difficult because you feel like it's easier to stay. I mean, there's a multitude of reasons why someone would stay.
I mean, if I can, you were in a domestic violence relationship before she met me, and
Mhm.
and it was on New Year's Eve of 2000. I'm 99. I guess it was 99 because 2000 would.
Yeah.
I met you January 1st of the year 2000. So I met her the next day, and she was hit by her boyfriend, and you had left.
I left him because he hit me, but all the other abuse, I stayed. I didn't even. I always said, "Oh well, he loves me." I always thought he was going to go back to that kind person. It wasn't until he hit me that I finally woke up. And sometimes, unfortunately, when they finally hit you, it might be too late. So
I did meet her the next day. I asked her out, and she told me no, but she did give me her phone number. So
that's a whole nother.
She was like,
Another
now
whole
is
story.
not the right time. No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry you went through that. And I think, there's a lot of victims or survivors or, people who experience domestic violence, would say the same. And I think a lot of people who go through domestic violence relationships, they have so much love. That's when I look at Gabby, I just see all the love that she had to give. Like, love is literally pouring out of her smile, everything about it, her voice, like just watching all the videos of her. And, I see that a lot in myself. I see that a lot in other people and other victims, like just this wanting to love someone or believing that that the best, seeing the best in that person, right? It's because you see this other side of them as well. So I think that's another thing that just gets people stuck in this cycle. And I'm very happy for you that as soon as you experience something physical and very scary, you were able to walk away and then meet Joe the very next day.
The very next day.
Yeah, but now
Yeah.
she's stuck with a
It was a
jacket.
sign.
It's totally different now.
Whole nother story.
I did want to ask you guys, as we wrap up here, I want to talk about Gabby a little bit, but I want to, not ask you, what everyone else asked you. I want to ask you what it has been like to share the loss of Gabby with the world, because while I can imagine it is extremely healing to continue to share her story and see how many people you're helping through sharing her story, I can imagine it can also be a lot. But as years continue on, what has that been like for you both?
We're going to grieve her every day. We're going to think about her every day, no matter what. But I love talking about her. I love thinking about her. It's every day, all day. If the work that we're doing can save one life, it's all worth it, because it's her legacy. She's being the advocate. She's the advocate from up above, and she's driving us. And we know that she's with us. We know we feel her. We know she's around. We know she's here. But I do love talking about her. I love looking at her pictures, as hard as it can be. It's just miss her again.
I don't mind sharing her story. Do you know what I mind? I mind when people minimize their own grief because Gabby's story was more on the media than most. And the one thing that people have to understand about grief is that no one's grief is greater than anyone else's. You hurt for whatever reason. Your friend, could be a loved one, could be a family member, whatever it is. It doesn't matter. It could be a perfect stranger. Grieving is grieving. If you're hurting for a reason, it's hard to understand because you don't see it. It's one of the reasons why I got tattooed on the hand, because I was hurting, and you and the kids were up in New York when I was hurting, and I needed to see why I was hurting. I needed to see the pain, just to make
Yeah.
sense of it. So I went and got tattooed, and I called you, and I'm like, hey, I'm letting you know I did a thing, and I texted her a picture, and then she texted me one back. She's like, I did a thing. She got one back here. She got a palm tree on the back
Oh my
shoulder.
gosh. Wait, did you both do it not knowing that each other did it?
Yeah,
100%.
100%.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
And it just goes to show you, that pain sometimes within, you have to make sense of it. And this is something that we did. We're not telling you to do the same, but don't minimize your own grief just when you're talking to somebody else. Understand that they're in pain and just listen to them. You don't have to fix it. You're not going to be able to fix it, and that's okay. But being there, you're making it a little bit more bare. And I think that's something that people have to understand, that we stand with you when you're grieving. You want to tell us your story, we'll sit and listen, because your story matters just the same. And it's very important that we make sure we give people the time that they deserve. And Gabby's giving us a voice to allow them to speak their voice, and that's a beautiful thing. It really is, because now they get to speak up and let others share that, their grief. Together is how we're going to get over. I think that's the message that should be sent.
Well, I know that Gabby's story continues to be inspiring. It continues to save lives. I know I have my own personal experience with Gabby's story, and I'm sure a lot of people can say the same, finding strength from it, and wanting to be the best in her honor as well. I appreciate what you said about grief also, because what I've learned about grief through my own experience of grief, but also now working in a field where I'm surrounded by grief, especially, seeing parents who lose children. I know that that's something that you never get over. And grief is not linear. And I appreciate you saying that about just being able to sit there with someone and listen to them, especially someone who's experienced something like that.
You're not going to fix it. Just know that. Don't try to. Just be.
Well, thank you both so much for being here today on my podcast. I just want to ask you one last thing. Is there anything that you want people watching this to walk away from, or any future plans that you have for the Gabby Petito Foundation? Anything anyone should be aware of?
Well, the biggest thing is that we are currently writing a book. So the four of us, the four parents have come together, and that hopefully will be out by next year.
I'm not writing a book because I'm not good at writing. She's writing. I vocalize it, and someone puts it in a text form. She's
Everyone
doing a
has
lot of
their
the writing.
skills.
I'm not good with that.
Okay, everyone has their skills when it comes to those type of things. So at least you have, someone who can vocalize it, someone who can write. That's amazing. I so look forward to reading that.
I would say go to the GabbyPetitoFoundation.org. There's a spot up top that has what's called Alliance, and there's so many different programs, not just for the United States, but for other countries as well. If you have a program that you think would be beneficial for the world to utilize, contact us. We'll put it up there. We like to go through it. We like to make sure those programs can be free for everyone around the world. To be honest with you, that's important to us. It's not just one country that has a domestic violence issue. All of them do. So I would, again, together is how we're going to overcome domestic violence. So if you have a program, you have an idea, you have a thought that like, hey, this might be viable, let us know. We advocate on a lot of legislative stuff for the lethality assessment. It's the Maryland Network Against Domestic Violence that came up with this program. They are absolutely amazing people over there. We shout that program from the rooftops because we believe in it. We don't get anything from it. We just believe in the program because it makes a difference. So So yeah.
Well, thank you both so much for what you do and what you continue to do every single day. I could talk to you forever. I know there's so much we could go over, and the conversation obviously doesn't end here. We'll be able to continue talking about domestic violence forever, but I really do appreciate you coming on Who's Behind the Headline today, so thank you so much.
Thank you, Leila.
Thank you, Leila.